Hi, Julie. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the PayPal. I have just received it, Julie, just before the tour. Thank you. Please let me know if you can hear me well. Let me see if the volume is adjusted. Hopefully, yes. Hello, hello. Let me show you around a little bit. Thank you so much, Catherine. Thank, thank you. So, hello, everyone. We are to begin in a couple of minutes. And as you see, I am in Jerusalem. And I'm going to give you a very special tour, very special for me, I would say, but I hope also interesting for you because it's a lovely area. I'm not in the old city. Hi, Sue. Hi, Sarah. Lovely to see you all. Hello, hello. Hello. Good to see you all. Hi. Hi. Hello. Good to see you. I'm so happy to see you. I'm happy to be back to Israel. I'm happy to be doing this tour. I'm happy to see you all. It's like in good old days. Like I ever really stopped doing virtual guiding. But I'm saying like it's good to be back. Wow, that I'm in Israel. Yes, I'm doing my exams. Hi Ruth. Hi Ruth. How are you doing? Um, Ruth is actually just several miles away from me. Unfortunately, we haven't still seen each other, but we will hopefully. Please get well soon. I know it's gonna take some time. I know. I know. Hi everyone. Natalie. Hi. I will explain what I'm going to be doing in a couple of minutes. I just want to wait a little more, a little longer. Hi, hello, hello. I hope it's not too windy. Hi, the attic girl. It's a bit chilly in Jerusalem still. I want to show you something. Oh, I really wish Eleni was on the tour, but she's not. Can you actually see three cats here? Just let me know if you can. Just look at that. Ruth, I think it's just absolutely iconic. The picture. I've taken already dozens of photographs. This cat's been here, regardless of really bikes rushing through, kids. Absolutely cute, right? Three kitties. Well, the lions are here because lions are symbols of Jerusalem. They represent the tribe of Judah. So it's kind of, yeah, but this cat represents the tribe of Whiskers. I don't know. Yeah, Ruth, please get well soon. Yay. I know. I know. I wouldn't actually mind while we're still waiting a yeah, a selfie. Me and the kitties. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining this very, I would say, short notice tour. And some of you, especially those who watched my tour that I did a few weeks ago, actually a couple of weeks ago maximum. I've been doing so many tours, I can't really remember exactly when I did that, but you might have guessed the area. Well, Ruth, you know the area, you know. So let me know. The tribe of whiskers. Yeah, why not? I don't know. So let's wait a little bit. Let's see what you come up with. I'll show you around a little bit more. It's so great. Look, it's still it's still not really summer in Jerusalem. It feels really springy. And when it's spring, you actually have all those flowers blossoming. It's the greenest time of the year in Israel. Hi, Dolly. Shabbat Shalom. Well, Shabbat Shalom to everyone, and I hope you're having a great weekend. I hope I'll be having a very peaceful Shabbat. First of all, about the concerns that you might have about. No, Sarah, it's not Ashkelon. I wish. No, it's not an Ashkelon. No, no, no. We are in Jerusalem. We are in Jerusalem in the German colony. And a few weeks ago, I actually did a tour, a pre-recorded tour, a recording. I just showed you the recording I made last year. Great to know that actually nothing has changed since then. I mean, in the area, it looks just as nice as it was, and hopefully it will remain the same. Hi, Maria. Good to see you. Yeah. So regarding your concerns about me, because I've been getting quite a number of messages asking, like, they range from like, "Are you an idiot?" Meaning, well, what are you doing in Israel now? From like, "You're gonna do great. You've done the right choice to go back to Israel." Well, I'm here for 1 week for my exams. As you know, I have passed the first exam, a very difficult one that lasted for about 5 hours altogether, and soon I have the next one. Well, Ruth, I mean, like, it's very hard not to love the place, honestly. So I'm here for my second exam, and just a few hours before going to the airport back in Tbilisi, I nearly canceled it because I was concerned. Well, not like I was, I still am concerned about the possible escalation and the possible attack, but I don't even want to talk about it. So, what I want to say is, I'd like this tour to be about history, not about geopolitics. I want this tour to be quiet, but if there is a siren, you know what to do. You run to the shelter. That's it. But hopefully, it's not likely it's going to happen here, but it may happen any minute, anywhere in Israel. So you never know, really. Yeah. So why are we here? Especially if, just about 2 weeks ago, thank you so much, everyone, for your prayers. So about 2 weeks ago, I did a tour here. So why am I here again? Well, first of all, doing a virtual pre-recorded tour is one thing, but actually being in the area, like walking with you in the area, which is my favorite, actually. I mean, I love doing pre-recorded tours. Like, I don't really have much options, right? If I'm in Tbilisi, how can I carry on with tours about Israel or St. Petersburg? So, but being here on the spot is special. And it's also the area that I will be covering at my exam. So that's why it's a very special tour. It's my pick for tonight, the area where we are now. And the area actually, I'm not going to be focusing in a detail about the German colony. No, it's going to be a bit different focus as well. So these tour and the one that I did 2 weeks ago, they are quite different. The attic girl, I've been studying to be a licensed tour guide to the Holy Land. That's basically what I was doing. I mean, I finished, and it's now just only one exam left. Let's see how it goes. It's next week, and I am excited. I've been hitting the books. I mean, like, I've been hitting the books for the past 2 years, actually. Yeah, another exam. Yes, being a tour guide in Israel is a very difficult. It's a very difficult job. It's very difficult to become a licensed tour guide, and it's very difficult actually in terms of just work. Yeah. So that's why normally tour guides to Israel are very expensive. Like, I know why. Now I know why they charge so much. Anyway, so this is just the kind of an introduction, and we'll walk the area. And you're welcome to ask questions. I would really prefer to get the questions asked in the end, or like, when we have a kind of a time for questions, because you're basically helping me prepare for my exam. You've been doing this for the past almost 2 years, actually. So Like, you just do the same. Just keep being yourselves, keep being curious, hungry for knowledge. Yeah, yeah, 5 hour exam is tough. It was very, very, very. Okay, thank you so much for your coffees and PayPals. I really appreciate your support. And if you wish to tip me, then in the chat there is a pinned message, so pinned comment with the links to my PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee. So whichever you prefer. So, dear all, welcome to Jerusalem, and we are here. It doesn't really look like Jerusalem, right? To many of you, it's not an old city. We are actually in the area that only started to develop in mid 19th century. However, this road over here, it's called Emek Rephaim. So Emek is a valley of Rephaim is actually a very old road. The Emek Rephaim is the valley of Rephaim, that valley that, for example, King David would take, that exactly path on his way to Jerusalem. And this is the same road that, it didn't look like that back then in times of King David, obviously, but it was exactly the way, to get from the coastal plain, from the Mediterranean to Jerusalem. The old city is over there. And also, this is one of very important roads because very soon we'll reach a crossroad to another very important direction. So it's not really a coincidence that this road that only was built properly in the 19th century is is the central street in this slightly more modern area of Jerusalem. And we in this area for a number of reasons. Well, first of all, because we're going to talk about the 19th century, the history of the Holy Land at that time. The 19th century is the period when the Holy Land was under control of the Ottoman Empire, starting from the 1516 up until the end of the First World War, which basically put the Ottomans to the end, the Ottoman Empire, because they had allied with Germany, so they lost. And in 1917, General Allenby and the British forces uh, liberated Jerusalem and the Holy Land from the Ottomans. And shortly after, the British Mandate period started. So no wonder we have here also a British flag, but we'll see many different flags here because we are standing next to a hotel, a very expensive hotel, Orient Hotel. And but there's something else here. It's not really about the hotel; it's about the area. In the middle of in the second half of the 19th century, exactly this area along this Emek Rephaim kind of road, kind of direction, was chosen as the place for a settlement of a group of Lutherans from Germany, from the southern part of Germany, Baden-Württemberg, well, not very far from Stuttgart, and they settled here in 1873, and it started actually with this house. Thank you, Ruth. Yeah, I know. I mean, like, of course, it's a smart choice. Actually, I wanted this area to be at my exam. So, and I have it. I mean, we all kind of, the school where I studied, they asked for like which area we like really want. But then the final decision is always, of course, um, with the Ministry of Tourism. So we started this with this house. It belonged to Matos Frank. Here is this gentleman. I would say Herr because he was from Germany, and he wasn't the first one. He wasn't the pioneer of these Germans, quite extreme. I would say Lutherans. He wasn't the first one to come to the Holy Land. And why actually having to come into the Holy Land? That's a good question. So, of course, you may remember the tours that I have done about the German colonies. So it's not the first German colony. By that time, there had already been some German colonies established all around the Holy Land. So those Germans, they thought that, the 19th century Europe was all about the Industrial Revolution and the number of like different discoveries, scientific achievements happening every day. And some people, some very religious people, were not really happy of how the world was focused on science. They wanted something else. They wanted to get back to spirituality, more spiritual side of things. And also, the thing is that um, year 2000 was very close. Just really, it was less than 150 years before Messiah was supposed to come back. And those Germans decided to actually be the first ones there when Messiah comes back. So, which means to come to the Holy Land. And here we are in the Holy Land, right? If you want to know more about the German colony, and their history, I invite you on my tomorrow's tour about the first German colony in Israel. Well, in the Holy Land in Ottoman Palestine, as the area was called back then. I remind you that Palestine is just a region, and this name was remembered by the Ottomans. It was actually a very old name of the region, was given to the area by the Romans after they destroyed Jerusalem and rebuilt it into a pagan city. So, and then the Ottomans just brought back to life that name, and it was the Ottoman Palestine region. That was it. So tomorrow I'll be talking about the first successful German colony established in the Holy Land. So, but then after the first one, there would be more colonies coming in. We've already done tours in Tel Aviv, in the American German colony, in Sarona. So now this in Jerusalem. So Matthias Frank was the first one. He purchased the land through, of course, through the middleman, because the Ottomans. We will talk more about the Ottomans and what happened here. With the Ottomans, we will be talking about it as we go. So, but they purchased the land, and while his house was being constructed and some other couple of houses were being constructed, they lived not far from here. I'll show you later on. So when you establish a community, well, you need to think about like where your children are going to be studying, where the hospital is going to be, and where you're going to pray. But the thing is, those were not just Lutherans, those were not just Protestants, those were Templars. Yeah, Rephaim means ghosts of giants. Yes. And I'm not feeling haunted here, no. And uh, but they were Templars, which means they didn't really need a church. And don't confuse them with the Templars, the Crusader order, right? It was 12th century. This is the 19th century. They felt they didn't need the church. They thought that the temple was inside each and every truly religious person. And they believed that with their industriousness and their faith, their righteousness, they would achieve redemption, and that was it. So, but that's how that we're heading to. You'd say, Anna, but it has a cross. What do you say? It actually was a church. It was a community house. It became a church much later in the 20th century. It now belongs to the Armenian church. We'll talk about it. So Matthias Frank happened to have the first house built to himself, and it was also the first community house before the other one. This one was established, was finished, and just from across the street there would be two educational facilities. This building, which was significantly rebuilt in the 21st century, and also this one. These are the two schools where the children, primarily the children of German settlers, uh, they would be studying here. They studied in German, and uh, it was a rule that they had a 10th grade system. And the last year of school, before the final exams, all those kids would be going to Germany for 1 year, and then they would come back and they continued living here. So this is it. So I'll be able to just somehow squeeze my my telephone, and you'll see just without any fence. So this building does look like a church, right? It actually is written there, Armenian church. It looks like a church, but it's not. So it lacked a cross, but also, well, there are certain rules that a church should have. For example, its apse, right? The altar should always be directed to the east, but actually that's not the case. That's not the case, and it's kind of directed northwards. There you go. This is the apse. It should be on the east, but it's not. It's a lovely area. It's the lovely community house. Well, now it's an Armenian church. The Armenian church received this place as a result of an issue they had, a territorial issue, some tax issues that they had with the property in the old city. You know, Armenians are the first nation to officially adopt Christianity, and their like community diaspora was very strong, and there is even an Armenian quarter in Jerusalem, which is a big deal, right? So that's the thing. And by the way, just a kind of a tip to you. Well, on historic buildings all across Israel, you will find these plaques. They would normally have information about some historic buildings, and whenever you see this, and even before you actually read what's written there, you just see uh, this plaque, you would immediately be able to say that this object of heritage was built after 1700, because before 1700 everything built that well dates back to the period before 1700 is antique, which means this is much younger. Actually, this is supposed to remind you of a Herzliya Gymnasium, the first educational facility in Israel, where the studies were done in Hebrew. So this German colony was established here, and the community thrived. And they brought their German lifestyle to here. They brought their architecture. You couldn't but have noticed how different the houses look from. I need to cross here, so let's be careful. You will see very little cars now, and this is the capital, right? This is the capital city. We are in the downtown, but you wouldn't really see too many cars because just the Shabbat is about to start, and of course on Shabbat, you're not allowed to drive. You're not allowed to do many things. So, and of course, driving is one of those things, works kind of, that a Jew is not supposed to be doing. Well, a religious Jew. So now we're on our way to see what how this area was developing with time. So as I said, the Germans, they would establish their communities, and they brought not only their lifestyle, but they brought also the innovations, the achievements from Europe. But like, why? All of a sudden, okay, they decided to see Messiah and to be here first ones, but like, were the Ottomans okay with it? I mean, now this area looks well developed and nice and quiet. And over there, you'll see modern buildings, high-rise buildings as well, some kids' parks and everything. Like, but why? Were the Ottomans okay with it? Actually, uh, before 1850s, they were not okay with it. The Ottomans actually didn't do much here. We don't know much really about the history, about what was going on here before the middle of the 19th century. The Ottomans would normally just send here the strong man. This was called the sanjak. Sanjak is kind of the administrative unit. So Jerusalem was just a sanjak within a big administrative area, so to speak. And they would normally just send their strongmen here to collect taxes. This was it. But then something happened. Then the Crimean War started. It was started by Russia, a Russian Empire, that wanted to assert, their interest on the historic sites, on the religious sites in the Holy Land. And that war that lasted for 3 years, uh, well, almost drained the Ottomans. And without the help from Europe, especially the French and the British, Ottomans would have lost completely. Well, the Crimean War finished with, well, I would say very like mixed results. It's hard to say whether who won. Both or all parties actually lost and gained something, but the Ottomans realized they were too weak. You know, it happens to every empire at a certain point, that empires just, their power tends to dwindle with time, and the same happens here. So the Ottomans knew that they were not, oh, that they wouldn't really cope without the financial help, without the support of the West. And they also knew that in the 19th century, actually after Napoleonic wars and Napoleonic invasion into Egypt, and then the conquest of Jaffa. This is the ancient area of modern day Tel Aviv. Well, they knew that there was another influx of interest in the Holy Land, because when Napoleon returned from his trip, uh, well, he actually had with him artists who did a lot of interesting paintings, made a lot of paintings uh, during the campaign. Okay, I'm gonna need to cross here. Let's be careful. I mean, it's so nice to walk here because there are no cars. It's really, really, it's nice and quiet. At my exam, I'm not supposed to come to this area, but because it's not my exam and because I want to create a bigger picture with you, I will be slightly diverting from my itinerary just a little bit. And this is when the the Ottomans just decided to use that interest in the Holy Land, and they allowed the Christian communities, and not only Christian, actually Jewish communities also, and they just in general they decided to become more open, more tolerant to the diversity of the world and religious diversity as well. This period in the history of the Ottoman Empire was called Tanzimat. It's the period of great reforms of the Ottoman Empire. It not only referred to the Ottoman Palestine, no, in general, to the entire territory. And I'm taking you to the area, well, kind of, that would be pretty much kind of, reflecting those big changes. So starting from, well, like the end of 1850s, the Ottomans officially allowed uh, to religious communities to purchase the lands, to build churches, synagogues, and different, religious institutions in the Holy Land. And well, the Germans weren't the only ones. For example, we're here next to the house and the church of the Scottish Christians, the St. Andrew's Church. Over there on the very top, you can see St. Andrew's flag. So the Germans were not the only ones. At that point, the after that, the pilgrimage of Christians and also Jews started. And from then on, it would be only growing and growing, which meant that the Holy Land all of a sudden became a very important tourism destination. And that also meant that it needed facilities. It needed, well, just to somehow facilitate the arrival, the traveling. Am I back? Please let me know. Oh, so you had lunch here. Oh, well, that's easy. Yeah, there is a community center. There is a, well, there is um, the pilgrimage center. Am I back? Please let me know. I had to return to this area because I lost signal somewhere next to St. Andrew's Church. And I'm not sure if the chat is working. Oh, you never left. Oh, that's great. I never left. So now I'm not going there to back to the church, but I want to show you a beautiful spot. All good. Great. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Yay, Colleen, good to see you. So if you joined uh, late, of course, this video is going to be on my YouTube channel in open access, so you can catch with what you missed. So where did I stop? I stopped with the arrival of different religious communities to the Holy Land. Not only Germans, as I said, the Scottish, the Swedish, by the way, and many, many more. And why did they come here? For the old city. We are now overlooking Mount Zion, and of course, this house, the dominant of the Mount Zion, is the Dormition Abbey. So this is when also in the old city, the religious communities were allowed to build churches, and well, exactly that pilgrimage and this mass arrival of religious communities to Jerusalem. Well, it started the big tourism industry. Thank you, Dolly. Thank you so much. And right now, below us, there is a Hinnom Valley, one of the biblical alleys, one of the areas mentioned in the Old Testament uh, multiple times. So now we need to think about, well, okay, facilitating thousands and thousands of pilgrims, thousands and thousands of travelers to arrive to Jerusalem. The thing is, there is no sea here, right? There is no sea. You're in the mountains. So what shall we do? Well, we need to build roads. Okay, so in the early 1860s, the Ottomans actually built a road after the visit of Franz Joseph, uh, uh, the Austrian emperor. Okay, that's good. So he arrived. Yeah, they built a road. It's now part of the road number one. But it was just a road, and it wasn't really making life much easier for the pilgrims. It was dusty. It was not actually it wasn't really safe. Well, let me just explain to you how would actually the pilgrims arrive to Jerusalem. They would arrive by water, by sea. Where would they come? They would come to Jaffa, to Jaffa port, which this area later on will become Tel Aviv. But they had nothing to do in Jaffa. They all wanted to see Jerusalem. So one of the roads was, well, the road built after Franz Joseph, but it wasn't really enough. And this is when there were other ideas. How about building a railroad? Well, there had already been a railroad built in England, and exactly a businessman, a British businessman, a great Zionist, brought an idea. And I'm sure you know who this was. Let me show you something. Sir Moses Montefiore. I want to show you his portrait. Just give me a second. Well, I showed so many times his portrait. There you go. This is Sir Moses Montefiore. He was Italian-born British businessman and philanthropist and a great Zionist who, together with many other pilgrims, wanted to develop this land to but well he wanted to develop this land for the Jewish community, not at the expense of the Christian community. So Jews and Christians were all given opportunities to to develop it for their religious communities. And Moses Montefiore visited Holy Land 7 times. And not only he visited, he also invested money in the construction of communities. He donated money to build communities and to improve the livelihood of the people. So normally on my exam, I'm not coming here, but I want this to be a more wholesome experience. So that's why I'm taking you here. And plus, I need to know the area as well. And I'm taking you to one of the, I would say, greatest achievements of Sir Moses Montefiore. You can see over there a windmill, right? This is a hello to Stefan and Catherine, and hello to Amsterdam as well. Just yesterday was exactly 1 year since Hago pulled the plug, and I just got a bit nostalgic about it, about the Hago times, you know. And so this windmill was supposed to, and for some time actually did, help the the Jewish neighborhood develop. And I want to show you what the area looked like. Hold on a moment. I'll turn my phone. So this is the windmill. You see the mountains of Jerusalem, and you also see a neighborhood. Oh, Montefiore Avenue. Oh, great, Gregory. Where is this? Where do you live? We're all nostalgic about the Hago times. Yeah, totally. So Moses Montefiore, he donated money. He helped establish the neighborhood for the Jewish people outside of the walls of the old city. The thing is, with the arrival of pilgrims, and also, well, just with so many years of history of Jerusalem, and well, the city is at least, well, officially as a city, it's 3,500 years old, but it's of course much older than that. So the old city, which is basically 1 square kilometer, and in the area, it was a bit too much for the city. It was too small, it was too dirty, and there was the outbreaks of malaria that happened basically every year. It was never ending. So it was there was nowhere to live. And and this is exactly the so that's the walls of the old city that we're looking at. That's the Mount Zion. And between us and Mount Zion is the Hinnom Valley over there, and different communities that would be established later on. So, and Moses Montefiore established the first Jewish neighborhood in 1860. So even before the Germans came to Jerusalem, right? And it was called Mishkenot Shenanim, the first Jewish neighborhood. However, it wasn't really easy to make people leave the old city, because the old city with its walls meant security, and here it was just mountains and wilderness. That was it. So eventually, Moses Montefiore had to pay people to leave the old city, and he built this windmill to grind flour, to give food to to the communities. And actually, here is a small museum of Sir Moses Montefiore, and just quite timely, they turned on the lights here to show the replica of the carriage that belonged to Moses Montefiore. He traveled with this carriage all across the Holy Land, in Russia, in Europe. Unfortunately, the original one, which actually used to be here, it burned down. There was a fire in the 90s, and the carriage was really badly damaged. Only like metal parts survived, and the same applies to the windmill actually. So only most metal details survived, but it was rebuilt, as you see, and it's here, a very important symbol, very important monument to the development of Jerusalem and the return of Jews, and the coming, well, later on, subsequent coming of Christians, of course, because the development of this area meant that there would be space for everyone. And of course, Moses Montefiore also wanted to facilitate the arrival of pilgrims and a quicker transportation uh, from from the port of Jaffa to Jerusalem, which used to take about 10 to 12 hours at least. And before that road was built, actually, it was several days of journey. Yeah, several days on donkeys or on a horseback. And now we're going back to the area where I'm supposed to have an exam, but I just really wanted to show you a couple of things. And well, we're passing by the Liberty Park over there. Well, and I carry on with the story. And this is when Montefiore had an idea to build a railroad, just like the one in Great Britain, in London. Well, he tried multiple times. He tried to talk to the Ottomans to prove the point that the Ottomans would only gain from that. And he didn't really ask the money. He just asked for permission. Eventually, it didn't really work because it looks like the Ottomans were afraid of too much intervention from Europe, and they thought that the railroad would mostly serve the interest of Christian and Jewish communities. And well, this kind of had some grain of truth. But anyway, a little bit later, a successful Jewish entrepreneur who was born in the Ottoman Empire, and I'm going to introduce him to you. Hold on a second. There you go. The Yosef Navon. I didn't have my second exam, Ashraf. I only had my first exam. The second exam is only next week. So, Yosef Navon. I told you that he was Jewish, right? But why is he wearing a tarbush? He was born in the Ottoman Empire, though. So, this the thing is. So, let me switch the camera. I'll be explaining a few things here. Back in the Ottoman Empire, uh, well, every man was supposed to wear a tarbush. Well, all the men that live in the city, and regardless of the religion, which means that yeah, so they were Jews and Christians living in Ottoman Palestine. So they were Ottoman Palestinian Jews, Ottoman Palestinian Christians, and of course Muslims. But everyone they were not allowed to show any signs of their religion. So Christians were not allowed to wear crosses. Jewish men were not allowed to wear side locks or kippot, so or kippas. So, and also those Christians and Jews had to pay a certain tax for like official protection from the Ottomans. They were sort of considered religious minorities, dhimmis. They were referred to as dhimmis. So that's important. Why is it important that Yosef Navon was born in the Ottoman Empire? That meant that he was a citizen of the Ottoman Empire, and he was allowed to purchase the land, and he won the concession. So he finally got an agreement from the Ottomans to build the railroad. It's only that he couldn't really find the sponsors. Eventually, that concession was purchased by a French company, and they provided the plan with the smallest budget, with the really really lowest budget, and they won the concession. And within about 2 years, the railroad would be built, and we are on our way to the railroad. But as we go, there's also some interesting house over here. This is well, I remind you that we are uh, on the area that used to be a very important road, right? So actually, all of these areas were the ways to connect to Jerusalem. And well, Emek Raphaim is over there. So basically, before the train station would be constructed, this was basically part of this Emek Raphaim road that would eventually take you to Sirak Valley and to the coastal plain. So it was an ancient trade road, and which means that, of course, here is supposed to be some architecture from the times way before the Germans and and Jews of the 19th century would be coming back. So here is exactly that type of house. This is a khan or caravanserai, basically a hotel for travelers, an inn for travelers. Normally, it would be like, well, two floors. The first floor would be for the ground floor would be for horses and camels to have a rest, and the second floor would be for the travelers themselves. Now it is a theater. It's actually called the Jerusalem Khan Theater. Well, it's not, of course, it's closed now, but I'm not sure if, well, you actually can see a little bit. So you see these arches. Normally, it would be many, many arches in the courtyard. And of course, the times of the Ottomans, it also was a Khan. But the Khans emerged even before the Ottomans came. We know of some of the earliest Khans found in the Holy Land. They date back to the times of the Mamluks, which you remember those Mamluks, the Muslims from Egypt that ousted the Crusaders. So this is the 13th century. So they brought the first Khans. And I took you to one Khan in Ashkelon. There are several other Khans that can be found in Israel. So this is the heritage from the before the Ottoman period. By the way, at times of the German colony, there in that Khan used to be an eatery. And now, so eventually, in in 1892, the railroad was finished. In on September 26, 1892, the train station was inaugurated. So finally, those, well, dozens of thousands of pilgrims, after weeks, 2, 3 weeks of a journey, of a sea journey, it would only take about 4 hours for them to reach Jerusalem, the holy city. Well, and here we are next to the first station, or Tahana, right? You might remember the tours of the train station that I did in Jaffa, well, outside of Jaffa. And by the way, as you know, that I was in Israel about a month ago for my first exam, and I did a live stream there as well in the Hatahana, and it's an open access on my YouTube channel. So if you missed that, you can, well, feel free to watch it. Karen, actually, there is a nightclub here now too, if it's not what you're referring to. And by the way, we just spoke about the Khan, right? A place for travelers to have a rest. Well, there is one more thing that reminds us of the travels, of long travels. There is a Sebil, or a drinking fountain. Well, this Sebil was built to the commission um, of the High Commission of the British High Commissioner of Palestine and Transjordan. So it's a much later period, the Mandate period. But the Sibils, so the drinking fountains, were built all across the Ottoman Empire. It was the Ottoman tradition. It would be, placed in oases. They would create oases for travelers in the middle of nowhere. And for a small donation, anyone could have fresh water, could also give water to the animals. So, and we have a Sibyl here as well, Sibyl. And well, we are facing the first train station. So this is also what the tired pilgrims who, well, made it, who survived all those weeks of journeys, that's what they would see once they returned. Once they arrived, once they arrived to Jerusalem. Well, it looks a bit different though. I want to show you some illustrations or some photos. And by the way, most of the photographs of the pre-mandatory Palestine were also taken by Germans who brought, apart from different agricultural innovations and also, well, construction technologies, they also brought photography. So I want to show you just a second. Well, the building of Jerusalem uh, railroad station looked this way. Just, simple buildings, straight lines, and that's it. But then, already after the collapse of the Ottomans, when the British came, they decided to, well, add a twist, to the building, and they added those, decorative details, and it looks like they were inspired by this church, the Basilica of Santa Maria Novella in Florence. It looks very much similar, right? So, in a way, it was kind of a connection. It wasn't just a train station, it was a very special train station, kind of a destination, for those seeking or looking for the old city. Now I need to cross to take you to the station. So, as I said, the this French company won the concession, and with the cheapest plan, they they were able to build it within 2 years. They employed normally the workers from Egypt, from Algeria, and they would use oak trees that used to grow along the coastal plain. And now there are very few oak trees left because all the oh, very bad news are coming. I'm so sorry, but okay, I carry on no matter what. Welcome to the Tahana, to the station. Uh, of course, it didn't look the same way, the way it looks now. And it's Shabbat. I remind you, it's Shabbat, and everything's supposed to be closed. So there wasn't there's supposed to be cafes open or anything, but it is. It's one of the very few places in the center of Jerusalem, well, not far from the old city, where you will have some eateries open. Of course, there are plenty of them in the newer parts of the area. In the German colony, there are areas, places open. But, well, this is different. You're very close to the old city, but this is a modern, modern uh, kind of a, I would say, recreational center, so to speak. Light switch off here. I'm not sure what happened. So, but that's what everybody saw. That's what everybody saw when they arrived back then in the end of the 1890s. I hope you can hear me. I hope you can see everything fine. So this was the station, and there are some photos here also. And there is this is a restroom, and it's open. Actually, the area is open 24/7. And you see over there, thank you, Ashworth. There is the Orient Hotel over there. So we are very close to the German colony, very close. And you can see that there is the remnants of the railroad, right? You see the tracks. However, these tracks, they look like the tracks we have now all across Europe, with a gauge of a bit more than 140 centimeters. Originally, when it was built, when the road was built, when the railroad was built, the French used the gauge, what they had back then in France, which was just a meter width. Later on, when the British came, they had to rebuild it and widen it. Well, In the end, it was exactly the same gauge that we have now, and the same gauge the British had back at home. At the times of the First World War, the Ottomans, who allied with Germany, they closed the road, they closed the railroad and used it to supply weapons and everything necessary for well for the war. And when the British came, they brought back the railroad, and it would be functioning up until 1948, which basically up until the end of the mandate. As you see now, there is no train station. It's now this is like a kids amusement park, very small one, and also over here there's a there is a the car of a train, and it's a small museum. It's obviously closed now, and you need to to call in advance to arrange a visit to the museum. But it's nice to have it actually in a car of a train. It's just nice to have it. It's doable. The visit is still arrangeable, so to speak, and it tells you a detailed story of the railroad. Oh yeah, of course. No, well, actually, the thing is that the world thinks that the entire country is shaking in fear and panicking, but it's not like that. It's not like that. However, it is scary, but well, it's yeah. But as I said, I would really love this tour to be not about politics, geopolitics, and also the current situation. It's just the news that I've been getting are alarming. Anyway, but I feel safe in the area. The area is really nice. So I want to show you some more illustrations. Well, photographs. Let me show you. Hold on a second. I'm looking for it. So this is, for example, the Jaffa railway station, the one that is in Tel Aviv now. It looked the same, right? So it's basically the same architecture. It was just one standard for the entire railroad. And actually, on Wikipedia, you can find the photo of the train ticket, for the second class ticket. Yeah, it's the sunset time, so the Shabbat has just it's just started. So the sun has the sun has gone down. So yeah, Shabbat has started. Shabbat shalom, everyone. And as I said, the British reopened the railroad in the 1920s, and this is the photo of the re-inauguration. Oh, now it's blurry. Hold on a second. Of re-inauguration of the railroad by Herbert Samuel, the British High Commissioner, the first British High Commissioner of Palestine and Transjordan. There you go. This is the photograph with already the new gauge, and another photograph for you actually to see that he is on the train. There you go. There you go. So what happened here after 1948? So after the state of Israel was established? Well, actually, it continued to be the railroad, and this railroad would be in use up until 1998. It's interesting that it would go, on some it would go through some territory that actually used to belong to Jordan. And Israel had to exchange these lands in order to continue with the railroad. And there was one area, at least, that was exchanged, the area of Batir, or Beitar, historic area of Beitar. It was exchanged, and Jordan got another territory in exchange for that. And up until 1998, the railroad was functioning, and it took a really long time to get to Jerusalem. Then the railroad was closed and neglected for a long time. This was the dead end. Now, actually, we are standing in the dead end of the railroad. It's like a stopper, like a buffer stop for the trains. However, this was the dead end back in the end of the 90s, and actually up until 2013, there was just uh, empty here. It was neglected, it was dilapidating, and then after a lot of investment and support from the municipality of Jerusalem as well, the railroad was brought back to life, and as you see now, uh, it's a nice recreational area of Jerusalem. And one of the few spots that are open 24/7, also on Shabbat. Well, some restaurants are closed there. Some are open, so non-kosher ones are open. Every Saturday, well, every Friday before Shabbat. I mean, there are some kids' activities, some concerts, and well, this would be it. Let me switch the camera and explain a few things. So, as I said, this has been a special tour. It's been one of the ways, to help me get ready for my exam. It's gonna look different. It's only gonna last for 25 minutes, and then also Q&A about all sorts of things, But this will be only 25 minutes long, and this time I have just taken you to the areas that won't be included in the exam, but for the kind of the wholesome, I would say, experience, and to get kind of the main idea. Uh, well, I decided to take you to to the other areas as well. Uh, I am a bit concerned. Like, I'm not sure what's going to happen tonight. So wish me good luck. Wish me a peaceful Shabbat. And I'm happy to answer questions that you might have. And as we go, we'll be able to enjoy a little bit more of the German colony as well. And as I said, tomorrow night, if all is well, I'll be doing 3 virtual tours, the pre-recorded ones. There's going to be one about Haifa, the first successful German colony established in the 1860s in Haifa. Then I'm taking you to Oranienbaum Romanov residence, and I'll be taking you to a beautiful so-called Chinese palace. That doesn't look like a Chinese palace from the outside, but trust me, it's a very Chinese place. An 18th century palace that survived the turmoil of the 20th century. And also, where else am I taking you? Oh, I'm taking you to the Hermitage Museum. I'll be talking about Henri Matisse, the collection of Henri Matisse works in the Hermitage Museum. Now we need to cross. Oh, and by the way, so I mentioned that Emek Raphaim is connecting to another very important road, the Bethlehem Road, as well. So the Bethlehem Road is over there. So you see, everything here in the area is very important crossroads. And not only the actual crossroads to various ancient cities, very important cities, but also, thank you so much, Karen. Thank you, Dolly. Thank you, everyone. It also happens to be the crossroads for so many religions and cultures and so many communities. So, German colony here. Then over there was a Scottish community. Then the first Jewish communities, Mishkat Shananim and Min Moshe over there, with where the windmill is. Uh, not far from the Hinnom Valley. Oh, I need to wait before I cross. There is the Abu Tor, the neighborhood with mixed population, Jews and Arabs. And the ancient, thanks to this railroad, I would say, is just really nicely combined with the new. Because really not far from the railroad, there is the whole city. And here we are in a very new area, a very new area. This is the 19th century, and then over there, the 20th century, with some high-rise residential buildings. Jerusalem has it all. So let me see what the chat has. It's getting darker and less cars. Of course, there will be cars. Of course, there are uh, people who do not keep Shabbos, and well, there are also non-Jews in the area as well. So we will see cars, but it's going to look very different from what it looks 6 days a week. This is the hotel. So it's nice to know that there are people there. So they're mostly, for Shabbat, there is a tradition, there are kosher hotels, and families like to go, just to have a proper rest, also to keep the house clean after Shabbat, because on Shabbat you cannot wash the dishes, you cannot do the chores on Shabbat, and then women have to, the families, not only women but mostly women, have to wash the house. And it's sometimes like really, when you have 10 kids, 5 kids at home, this is not an easy thing to do. So many families prefer to go on Shabbat to hotels. They normally have like the certain package, the certain rate, like Shabbat rate. Nice area. I wish someday I could afford to stay at a hotel like that, but I'm really enjoying the area where I'm staying now, and it's not really far from here. Now, actually, Grisha and Misha are in Tbilisi. Misha returned on Sunday, last Sunday night. So they're there, they're safe, and I'm here getting ready for my exam no matter what. I worked so hard for these 2 years, and hopefully I won't regret coming here this troublesome time. Okay, I'm going over the chat to see if there are any questions. Yeah, this is a lovely place to stay for sure. Yeah, well, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm going to need lots of love and lots of uh, support and, you know, prayers on the 17th of April. But it looks like I may need them also now in the next few hours as well. Thank you. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you. So, Dolly and Ruth, Sue and everyone, I'm wishing you peaceful Shabbat. So I'm going through the chat to see if I missed anything. Yeah, well, yeah, Matisse is tomorrow. So, provided all is well, I will be doing the tours tomorrow. Thank you so much, Gail, and everyone for the coffees and PayPals. I really appreciate your support. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thank you for keeping me in your prayers and wishing me peaceful Shabbos. Whew. Well, now that the tour is over, I am scared. Well, I know where the safe room is, where I'm staying, so I'm prepared. I've lived here for 2 years almost, so yeah, I'll keep you posted. I will. Thank you, Cindy. So I didn't see you join, I didn't greet you properly. Hi, Cindy. I want to show you something. So just this is the area when the German colony continues, and hopefully I'll be able to show you more while I'm still here, while I'm staying in the area not far from here. So here are like two neighborhoods built one next to the other, the German colony and Rehavia. They are like, I would say, upscale neighborhoods. Well, you see the architecture. And here there are some cafes open on Shabbat as well. So it's not that quiet. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you for all the kind wishes. Thank you for your donation. Thank you for your support. And, well, I'll see you tomorrow. It should be fine. I love you all. Mission Grace, I love you too. Ministry of Tourism, I love you too. It's all for you, right? That I'm here. Anyway, bye bye everyone. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.